Welcome to Founders Future, a podcast powered by Closers.io, where we explore the journeys of visionary entrepreneurs and uncover the strategies driving their companies forward. I'm your host, Jay Encarnacion, and in each episode, we dive into the stories behind game-changing ventures, the challenges they've overcome, and their plans for future growth. Today, we are excited to have Ken Winell, co-CEO of Nexus Digital Group. With over 20 years of experience in digital solutions and recognition as one of the top 10 admired leaders of 2023 by Industry Era, Ken is a trailblazer in digital transformation. Based in New York, the Nexus Digital Group, co-founded with Kieran Walsh, is a strategic consultancy revolutionizing marketing and operations with a team of over 80 global experts. We'll be exploring Ken's founding story, NDG's innovative approach, and his vision for scaling this dynamic venture. With that being said, let's dive right into it. Ken, welcome to Founders Future.
Thanks, Jay. Great to be here.
An absolute pleasure having you on the show today. Ken, if you can, for our listeners, take us back to the beginning. What specific problem in the digital transformation landscape really inspired you to co-found Nexus Digital Group?
Yeah, great question, Jay. In short, I was working in a traditional agency and had watched, it's all driven by account management and brand managers of people who are trying to get as much business as they can from whoever their clients are. And I always felt like we were not putting the client's needs above our own. We were trying to grow the business, but at the same time, it was all about how many hours can you bill to a client. And that kind of rubbed me the wrong way. And over the years, as I said, I've been doing this for a long time. Over the years, I've always found success to be empathetic pain of the client is really going to get you the bigger bang for your buck. And it's don't worry about the money. Don't worry about, how much it's going to cost. Worry about what problem you're solving and the return on the investment that the client's being asked to make. And then you can be successful. And I think what we did, and there were four partners altogether. We came together. We had these discussions going for a good 6 months prior to making any moves. And then we said, you know what, let's just have a partnership that we can grow, that we can scale, and that allows us to each of us bring our skills. So we have a marketing person and a strategy person. We have an operational delivery person, and we have a COO who can actually oversee and make sure that we're making money. And I think that became the guiding point, is that you don't need to have a big organization. You need to have the right organization.
Incredible. Incredible. So, definitely would love to take a deep dive with you on what you're doing with Nexus Digital Group, especially for our listeners here, Ken, who once this episode airs could very well want to come and work with you for
Absolutely.
the core offerings. So if you can walk us through the core offerings here, how they're structured for your clients, and who is your ideal client that you like to work with these offerings?
Yeah, that's great. So our focus has always been on the small and mid-sized space. We feel that the Fortune 500 have enough minions in their fold that we're not going to compete with those guys. We're not McKinsey, although we want to be a mini version of McKinsey in terms of thought leadership. What we're focused on is, I'm a futurist, so I'm looking out 5 years, 10 years, 15 years ahead to try to see what trends are coming, where innovation is happening. And then we have people who understand what the real-time trends are, which is omnichannel marketing and hyper-personalization, or now a large part of our business has stemmed since 2022 in really artificial intelligence and how companies can leverage it and the transformative effect it's going to have. So our focus has really been on impact assessments and understanding, without having any other ulterior motive, we can tell any company how to leverage AI, right? And then maybe there's 7 work streams that come out of that. We don't have to do any of them. We could do them all. It really depends on what they want. And ultimately, we found that helping companies with having that selfless expression works best. So that's one, omnichannel marketing and understanding how to optimize the customer experience, how to optimize what that retail experience would be, is another area of service offering that we have to help. What kind of guided journey do you want to have? You go to buy something on Amazon, it's pretty easy, right? You go 1, 2, 3, click, and it's at your house the next day, or sometimes even the same day. What does that do? Does that delight the person who's buying it? Absolutely, it does. So now let's expand that out and think about how we might use that for businesses. And those are another areas that we look at. Lastly, it's basic block and tackle cybersecurity and infrastructure. So there's where you have an MSP, a managed service provider, who's in place, and are they doing everything that they need to do to keep you locked down? Are they protecting your intellectual capital? Are we making sure that you don't have a breach? And we don't handle that piece of it, but we can certainly look at what are the tools that you need to have in place, how often should it be tested, coming up with the process improvements that are needed, and then provide the real-time guidance of threat protection and awareness.
Amazing. Really just a full-blown consultancy here, coming into these small and medium businesses and helping them across the board with the omni-channel, the AI, the impact assessments, the cybersecurity side. So really full suite there. And if you can dive in a bit deeper for us here on your mindset behind scale. Obviously, you've been in the game for quite some time. You've seen a lot of success, Ken. From today moving forward, what is your idea of scaling? Nexus.
But yeah, that's a great question. So I have to go back into a little of my own sordid history here.
Yeah.
When I first got out of, I was in the military, and when I left the military, I started to work for a defense contractor. They had well over 5,000 employees. So it was a big enterprise business. And I learned that I'm a small cog in a big wheel, right? And you really have to prove yourself to get ahead. And it's the typical advancement that you would have way back when.
Right.
Nowadays, in an entrepreneurial mode and an innovative mode, that experience helps me greatly in understanding scale, understanding what it needs. The the analog is that, listen, you tell I'm also a SCORE mentor, which is part of the SCORE Business Administration.
Yeah.
Business Administration. So I meet a lot of entrepreneurs and people that have great ideas, like a home care service or somebody who's making their own line of skincare products, right? And so they ask the same questions, which is, okay, how do I scale this? How do I do this? There's a couple of things that have to happen. One is, do you have demand? Demand generation, because obviously it's a buy and sell type of economy. We need to make sure that we have that. Number two is really focus on be good at your vision, understand what you don't do. And all too often, when I meet with CEOs, especially in mid-sized businesses, it's I don't know what I don't know. Those are the things that they constantly are kept awake at night by. So you really have to think about it and say, okay, you have to be able to delegate. You must be able to say, you know what? I'm not the right person to help you with your sales and marketing team and training your sales force, but I can identify what you need there. And I'm going to let you go and hire somebody, right? And just report back to me and tell me that sales have increased 50%. So it's really delegation. It's understanding that you're focused and you're not trying to be scatterbrained and try to do multiple initiatives at once. And you need strategic planning. Every year, you need to go back, look at your strategic plan. Are you scaling? You need to have the right hiring models in place so that are you bringing on people that you want to keep? Are they a cultural fit? Are they able to project your passion for this business onto their potential interfaces? And so it becomes really strong that you want people, not, they don't have to be like-minded, but they do have to be marching in step, so to speak, that follows, yes, I believe in what the company is doing. When you talk to millennials, it's like, we got to do something good. It's got to be good for humanity. It's got to be great. Yeah, okay, maybe. But at the end of the day, that may not be what drives me. What drives me is I have a vision of how artificial intelligence can really be the most impactful digital transformation of our lifetimes. And if you can't get behind that, you don't belong with me. Does that make sense?
That makes perfect sense. I love that. Talk to us a bit with that mindset that you have and still looking to grow and scale Nexus. Talk to us about the acquisition side of things. What's working best for you to continuously bring in these clients for that scale? Walk us through the channels that have been most effective for you.
Yeah, that's great. So we have a couple of different things that we've been doing that have yielded success. The first is I became a member, and I hate doing these plugs, but I just want to make sure. Vistage Worldwide is a coaching and mentoring tool that is used for CEOs and mid-sized companies, and it has well over 45,000 members in it. I joined as a trusted advisor, which means that I'm part of a group that can talk about our services, but we help these CEOs, we help that. So that's one almost endless cycle of opportunities that are presented because there's a network that's actually behind it, and you get people say, hey, who can help me with this, who can help me with that. It's a kind of a networking event, right? Number two is word of mouth. We live and die by our client satisfaction scores, and it's not something that I am shy about saying. It's like you can call any of our clients and they're all going to say the same thing. It's like these guys do stellar work, they're fast, they get it done, and they get out, and they're not there looking at the power meter of how many hours I'm accumulating each month. Sometimes that happens where you have to do hourly rates because someone wants to do it. But if you're already talking to me about hourly rates, I may not want to do business with you. So I'm much more selective. And lastly, it's really about industry expertise. So life sciences, check the box. We know how to do that. All right, hey, retail, check the box. We know how to do that. Okay. ERP, not so much. I know how to do ERP, but I really don't want to go after that. I can talk about how ERP can be enhanced with artificial intelligence, absolutely. But focus. So you know what you do, know it well. And as you start bringing on new product lines and you start thinking, oh, this is a new service. Okay, yeah, be good at it. Be good at what you do. and make sure that you don't have a dissatisfied client. It's impossible to say that every client's going to be 100% ready to give a testimonial. But for
Right.
us and at Nexus, what we look for is our clients will stand up and say, by the way, I can refer you to these guys because they are great. And
Right.
that's all we ask for.
Incredible. So with that there, obviously being a part of Vistage is a phenomenal advantage for you. And then the word of mouth, the big thing there that I'm curious how you're operating through it, and this is just from the other guests on the show, is the predictability behind obviously word of mouth. It's not there. I don't know
Yes.
how predictable it is to be a part of that community. So is there a predictable way that you have maybe around ads that you're running the social media side, or are you thinking about adding those into the mix as well?
We've at over the past couple of years, what we've done is I've built up our social media channels. So our
Right.
LinkedIn channel is where we have some campaigns and we run those periodically. I would recommend to anybody who's in the small space or wants to get a little bit bigger is looking at Sales Navigator, looking at LinkedIn campaigns to boost your amplification. So yeah, there is that. It can be fairly predictable. We don't put a lot on that because most of our stuff is personalized relationships. So for us to scale, we really look to can we bring in somebody else who can bring in more people, right? So it's
Yeah.
really about I have a gentleman who's a project manager who's absolutely walks on water in terms of project management,
Right.
but all of his clients are now coming to us asking the same question. Say, I really like what Bob did. Ken, can you help us with this? And so our scaling is not necessarily scaling in terms of spending more money on advertising. Our scaling
Right.
is bringing in the right people who grow and want to join our network of delivering these AI solutions. And that's the best way to go.
Incredible. So walk us through that side, right? The sales process itself. Sounds like you have a lot of partners that you work with to really get your name out there. As far as internally, do you have a sales team, marketing team with you to push this out, or what does that flow look like for you guys?
We have a couple of things. We have an inside salesperson who is focused on lead generation. So they work with a bunch of different industry areas. We have a partnership with a couple of different advisory services that we work with to bring that in, and everything kind of funnels there. But our sales process is pretty straightforward. It's like awareness, right? Number one. So we
Yep.
make sure that we are out there with thought leadership. Number two is that once we meet you, we put you into our customer relationship management tool. We then start saying, okay, where are you at in our timeline of whether you're ready to adopt or something? And we generate from there. We had worked with a couple of contract outside sales folks.
Hmm.
That's always hit or miss because they have to be hungry. So from a standpoint of bringing in a high-powered salesperson, yeah, I would love to do that. But the problem is they all want to have a $200,000 base salary and then they want commission on top of that. Our margins
Right.
don't allow for that. So it's really hard for us to say, okay, yeah. And I don't want that smooth slipperiness of a salesperson that's, oh, I'm just looking for the sale, because I think that could send the wrong message. And so we try to look at it as we are consultants. We are not salespeople. We are consulting. So we want you to call us for advice. When you go to McKinsey and you look up their stuff of what they're writing about for adoption or supply chain issues or anything like that, great. You're getting the mindset of an analyst. You're getting somebody who's doing the deep background and research. We want to emulate that. So when you're talking to me about artificial intelligence, I'll be able to tell you what's happening in Grok, what's happening in Gemini, what's happening in all that. But when you're talking to somebody else, you might be finding out what's happening with HubSpot, what's happening with Drupal, what's like all these different areas that we might cover. Those that level of expertise speaks for itself, and that's what people want to hear. So we are the unselling agency. In other words, we like to, and we also our biggest. I should have caveated this at the earlier side was one of our big lines of new business is coming through agencies. So we
Mhm.
go to marketing agencies and we say, listen, you guys, you want to carry the technology edge? That's great. But on the other hand, you can turn to us and we can get it done for you. And you don't need to have that overhead. So hire your account managers, hire your graphic and creative folks, right? But when it comes time to execution, do you need to have 35,000 developers on staff? No, that's weighing down your profitability. We can help you and improve your profitability because we'll make money, but you make money on top of us. So
Exactly.
our agency model is where we're being as a partner, and we want to be seen as a partner, not a vendor. That's a big differentiation, and that's what keeps us going.
Incredible. So on that, it sounds like a slight bottleneck, but really the ability to bring in more A player salespeople that aren't demanding an arm and a leg, having that kind of setter closer model is the next step of bottleneck that you're looking to break through. But overall, from that bottleneck side, is there anything else that you're thinking about besides really being bringing on some solid salespeople What else are you thinking about on that?
We also look at our competition and we look at acquisitions, right? And we look at it from a standpoint of, are there companies out there that we would target that are either bigger than us or smaller than us or the same size as us? And how good is the synergy? There's a lot of good companies that are out there, especially in the space that we've been playing. And I want to make sure that I'm aware of them. And I also want to make sure that if we have the same kind of personalities, we can mesh. So we make it very easy to grow with us. And it's not necessarily an acquisition. Maybe it's just a partnership. Maybe it's a franchise. We haven't gone all the way for that, but those are things that we think about.
Incredible. So with that, paint us the picture here. Ken, obviously you have a phenomenal offer that you're pushing forward, really good systems in place here. What does the rest of this year going into 2026 look like for you? What are you laser focused on for that continued success and growth?
Right now, we are laser focused on agentic AI technologies. The architecture and has been exploding for the past 3.5 years, but really, people don't understand just how different this is, right? And that these large language models and protecting your intellectual capital and being able to actually have these conversations can really affect the organization. But we want to also put in repetitive tasks. We want to deal with all the things that need to be focused on from your business side. So leveraging unique agent models is the way to go. And we've started to design some fairly complex agentic architectures for processing of insurance claims, for looking at litigation, for other things and other areas that you wouldn't normally assume. We also are looking at it with respect to coding and development, right? So DevOps is shifting, right? The way you used to build an application. In fact, it's funny because I was working on this even before this phone call.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm building an assessment tool. Part of the assessment tool, I'm putting most of that into Gemini and having it generate a React front end for me. It takes me seconds now versus months of getting somebody to prove out a prototype and explaining it to a developer in the terms that they can understand how to code it. The AI does that for me. And so those are things that we're focusing on. For the next 6 months, we see AI assessment and impact planning as being a core part of our business. We also see some omnichannel architectures and taking advantage of more intelligent communications. And then lastly, customer experience and changing more immersive experiences. In the world of sports, which is another area that we focus on, we're looking at enhancing the fan experiences in a lot of different places. In sports, you wouldn't necessarily think of. So swimming and in fencing and in professional bull riding. Like these are all areas that are going to change dramatically as immersive technologies become more prevalent. If you think about it, in Las Vegas, they built this thing called the Sphere, and they say it's a
Yes.
really immersive experience when you go and listen to it. Okay, great. I want to take that to a completely different level, which is that we want to apply that not just to the form of entertainment, we want to apply that to the world of sports. We want to apply that to a couple of different areas that we think, even in education, where imagine, and I use this analogy all the time and people laugh at it, but way back when in the 60s, there was a movie made called Fantastic Voyage. It's written off
Yeah.
of a famous novel by Isaac Asimov. Anyway, make a long story short, they shrink down into a submarine to get out a cancer cell in an inoperable location. Imagine if you're able to really do that now by walking into a building, sitting down in a theater, and you're totally immersed and you're part of it. Everything surrounds you, right? And you're feeling it and you have full sensory overload, right? That's something that I think will benefit in education as much as it will in entertainment. So those are things that we're focusing on.
Incredible. Absolutely incredible. And I mean that is one of my favorite episodes so far here, Ken, because this is the future, right? And having passionate founders like yourself is really what's going to propel us even farther forward than where we are now. Just incredible hearing your thought
Yeah.
process. You guys
And
are
it's moving so fast, Jay.
so
That's the
fast.
thing. Think
Yeah.
about this. In 2022, prior to November of 2022, which is when
Yeah.
ChatGPT was released,
Yep.
everybody was talking about metaverse, right?
Yes.
First off, Facebook renamed themselves to Meta, right?
Yep.
The idea being, oh, we're all going to have Oculus headsets and we're all going to walk around with these totally thing and it's Ready
Right.
Player One all over again. Then all of a sudden, ChatGPT launched and metaverse got tossed to the side.
Yep.
Apple came out with Vision Pro, big thud, landed dead. But at the end of the day, it was it was different. It was a nice way to deal with immersive. Now you're starting to see these Google glasses that are coming back and the Ray-Ban glasses that are coming back so that you're connected and you have glasses on, you're hitting the button, you're getting all your information. We're not there yet. A fully immersive approach is coming and it's 3 to 5 years out. On top of that is AI, right? And AI advances, as well as the blending or the merger of AI and humanoid robotics. So you've seen the Tesla robots, you've seen the Boston Dynamic robots. Guess
Yep.
what? It's not much further down the road where these things will start to take the service economy and shift it to the end because
Yes.
you'll have construction workers, you'll be able to have carpenters that are robots. You'll be able to have plumbers that are robots. It's coming, whether we want to admit it to ourselves or not. And yes, we have to figure out what's going to transition behind that. Where does our services-based economy go to after all these technology and technological improvements become more standard?
Yeah.
That's what keeps me awake at night. What's
And,
next?
and phenomenal that we have people like yourself thinking about these things, right? Because that's what's going to put us ahead of when it does happen. So I do want to take us into the lightning round here, Ken. First thing that comes to mind, just a couple more questions before we wrap up the show.
Sure.
First is going to be, as far as a tool or a resource, what has been the biggest game changer for Nexus that far?
I think, again, without naming a particular platform, the
Yeah.
large language models are really the big thing. And whether you use Gemini or ChatGPT or Claude or Perplexity, doesn't really matter. But all of them are offering significant benefits and they became multimodal, which means that you could do video and audio,
Right.
right? And so I think that's a big advance. And that's one of our core tools now.
I love it. I absolutely love it. And then last, certainly not least here, Ken, to wrap up the show, what is the best piece of advice that you can leave for our listeners before we wrap the show today?
This is my favorite line.
Yeah.
Here it is. Are you guys ready? You can hit the pause button because I'm going to make it. No, just kidding. Here's the reality. The reality is you are not going to be replaced by AI, but
Mhm.
someone who knows AI will replace you. And if you take away nothing else from this conversation, understand that your ability to learn AI is going to be the key, not the other way around. Not somebody's coming out of school and say, "Oh, yeah, I've worked on AI." Yes, they might be better than you, but at the end of the day, as long as you know it, you'll be okay. If you're not, if you ignore it, it's going to run you over.
Love it. And that is the best advice that could possibly be given right now. And I could not agree more. So truly appreciate that. And with that right there, ladies and gentlemen, that is going to wrap up another inspiring episode of Founders Future. And Ken, truly cannot thank you enough for coming on the show, sharing your incredible journey and your insights with us today. Clear as day, Ken, you're going to continue to do some amazing things. So truly, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you on the show today. And to our listeners, if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe to Founders Future wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And don't forget to check out Nexus Digital Group at nexusdigitalgroup.net to learn more about their transformative solutions. You can also follow Ken on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/in/Ken Winell. And for more resources and insights, you can visit us here at closers.io, where we're dedicated to helping businesses accelerate their growth. Until then, keep climbing, and we will see you on the next one.